Welcome to Blooming Dandelion, where we explore healing, growing, and evolving to live a balanced and fulfilling life. I'm your host, Andrea Rivera Cazul, and each week we'll dive into practical tips, inspiring stories, and expert advice to help you bloom. Let's get started. Hello, Dandelion. I am so excited to be back. I needed a week off. I apologize. I know that you were waiting for an episode to drop last week, but collectively, we need a break, okay? And when your body, your mind, everything starts shouting that you need a break, you have to listen. I'm gonna tell y'all, it's been like the craziest week, and just craziest in the sense of like things that have happened. I'm gonna tell y'all what happened because I still can't believe that I did this to myself, but I'm glad that we took the week off, that I took the week off. I don't know if I've shared, I think I've shared here, but I am moving in the next couple of weeks. So it's been chaos around everything that I've been doing, between packing and throwing away things and donating things. It's just time consuming. If you have gone through any form of a move, you know how draining this is. So I apologize for not posting. I'm still here. We're not going anywhere. Sometimes, again, we need a little bit break. So I'm going to get into the blue and soil. The soil of this week is probably one of the most hilarious things that has happened to me in a while. Chaos. So essentially, last week was a friend's birthday. I was getting ready and all that stuff, and all of a sudden, as I go to sit and pee, and I apologize for the TMI, but my foot slid, and it slid so hard, full impact, to the bathtub. Yes, I injured my toe. I didn't know how bad the injury was until I got to the restaurant that we were going to. So a lot had happened in between. But once we finished eating at the restaurant, I could barely walk. It hurt so much, and I looked down and my toe was purple. Purple. I could not believe it. I couldn't believe it. It hurt so bad. So it was definitely a break. I had to walk all through Boston with these spa shoes that thankfully the Four Seasons Hotel in Boston gave me. So thank you, shout out to y'all for being kind. But I looked ridiculous. But I've been trying to heal my foot. I haven't been doing much. It's been really low impact stuff in the sense of like what I can do. I've had amazing friends come over to help me out and pack because I haven't been able to walk on anything. Yesterday was the first time for me, and I know that when you listen to this, you might not know when yesterday was, but for me, yesterday was the first time that I was able to kind of fully walk a little bit more comfortably. There's still some discomfort, but you know, it's just hilarious because it's also the same toe that I broke when I lived in Iowa. I'm blessed. I am so lucky. I honestly just have to laugh at these moments because I know that it's my clumsiness, and I always like joke around that I get it from my mama. Hi, mama. Sorry. We're both clumsy. Love you. But that was my soil. It's been kind of chaotic. It has forced me to kind of settle and sit because, and I think that that's any time that I get any sort of an injury, and like I don't get that many injuries, but whenever I get overexhausted from the gym or whenever I get overly worked out at the gym, I never pause. And so I think it was just good practice for me to just sit my ass down, not do anything. But it's really hard for me to do that because I want to just go. So yeah, it's been kind of rough, but I've been okay. Oh my gosh, my bloom this week, my bloom is a shout out, and it's not even like about me, but shout out to my bestie from work. I'm not gonna say your name, but you know who you are. I'm just so proud of that person because they've found a position elsewhere, their growth. She is someone who inspires me, and so I'm just very, very proud of her. And so seeing the growth, seeing her perseverance has been impactful, and I'm so glad that I get to have a community of strong people around me that nurture and that also push not my beliefs, but more so than anything, just like nurture my ideas and push me to become a better person and push me to become even more in depth and in tune with who I am as a person. Those are the people that you should keep around you. People that will constantly, care about you, worry about you, but also push you to be the best version of yourself and can push back on certain topics that you might talk about. And I think that that's so important, to not be siloed, to have people that, yes, understand your walk of life, but also just everyone's walk of life has been different. Okay? And so I'm just so proud of her. So the bloom is not even mine. It was just that we got to celebrate her. And even though sad, excuse me, I've been losing my voice here and there. Even though sad, that I no longer will get to see her at work, I'm so glad and grateful that we created a friendship outside of work, that I know that I'm not going to miss anything from this situation. It's just going to be better. So that's the bloom and soil. I hope that y'all are continuing to write down what are your bloom and soils, because it's important to reevaluate, or not reevaluate, but evaluate the situation that you're going through, whatever it is, your journey that you have embarked. You have to start by looking and writing down things that are going on. And I think a bloom and soil, just to see how your weeks are going, or your months are going, will help you navigate that path. But anyways, today we are going to be talking about empowered women empower women. Say it one more time. Empowered women empower women. Okay? All right. So I feel like this topic is near and dear to my heart. It's near and dear to so many people's hearts. Let's be honest. We love to empower people. And I think sometimes, not that we struggle to understand how we can empower people and all that stuff, but I think it's a great refresher to know that there's so many different ways that we can empower folks around us, and especially in our girlhood and our womanhood, how can we empower each other? There is a lot that comes with being obviously a woman. There comes a lot with being a feminist, with standing up for what's right. And so when we look at that lens of how can we empower folks when maybe I don't feel empowered enough, maybe I don't know where to start because I never had that sort of relationship with anyone, know that that's okay. Know that if you have felt like you were stuck in a place that didn't feel empowering or didn't uplift you, it's normal. Unfortunately, there are lots of places like this. But a better place to be at is at a place where folks nourish your creativity, care about your well-being, care about who you are as a person, and not solely think that you are a machine that pumps out ideas, that pumps out plans. It's important to know that you are valued as a human being. So I want to share some like empowering moments that I've experienced, whether that's been me hoping to empower others or me feeling empowered. I feel like empowerment for me, and I think it's different, right, for every single person, because the way that I feel empowered might not be the same way that Jill or that Karen or that Sally feels empowered, okay? It's all about your personal story and about what it is that you need to hear at that moment, what it is that you need to accept in your life at that moment. There's so many different aspects that we could talk about empowerment. For me, empowerment has felt like many different things. Empowerment for me has felt like me being in a place where I feel safe. That's one. Empowerment for me feels like creating friendships that uplift me and don't drag me down. And they're honest relationships where we can be honest about our feelings and talk about and repair things. Because we're not afraid to be viewed as problematic or catty or anything, because that's also something that happens within our womanhood and our girlhood, feminism. There's still so much misogyny in everything that we do and everything that we label as part of our womanly experience. Misogyny is rampant, right? Everyone thinks that there has to be a sense of jealousy or that there's competition between us. There can't be more than one woman in the ranks for us to like exist. On a side note, I know that I mentioned when we were doing the self-love journey, I mentioned that I was reading Drew Afwalo's book, Loud, Living the Life You Deserve. I think that's a whole title, but the main part of it is Loud. That book was amazing. It's a short read. I recommend anyone reads it because I think it's so impactful to understand their story, but like it truly empowered me to see and view things in a different light. And I think that that's one of the reasons why I followed her in the first time on TikTok and on platforms, but more so it's finding our voices, right? So empowerment for me feels like reading a book that has inspired me to see things in a different light. Empowerment for me, when I have, hopefully, I hope that I have empowered and have nurtured people into becoming their best selves. Empowerment for me feels and means to like meet someone where they're at and hope that we can grow together, because there has to be an understanding that where I have lived experiences might not be the same place that somebody else has lived experiences. And that's okay. We have grown up in so many different ways and different facets that it's important to understand that there might be days that, you know, you're meeting someone and you're not going to understand what they have gone through and why they are the way they are. And if you have an open heart to understand where folks are coming from, where they're coming with their sense of direction, with their sense of knowledge, it's important to meet them where they're at like that. That way there's a mutual understanding and there's nothing lost in between. I will say I have felt empowered in any book meet and greet that I've gone where I have met Elizabeth Acevedo, which has been now 2. I feel just heard in her stories. I feel heard when she talks about where people are at and the community and all that stuff. I think it's empowering to be in a place where folks align themselves with a certain topic as well. I also feel like empowerment on a self-love journey can be different. Like I said, for me, empowerment has felt like me being able to love the skin that I'm in, so much so that I'm okay with posting my bikini body on the internet, because I know that my body is not aesthetically pleasing, or it's not the social norm that people are used to, and they should be, but people are not comfortable because that's not what is fed through the media. And I know that by me sharing my bikini videos, bikini pictures, or just me existing, there will be one troll, two trolls, three trolls that come out of under the bridge and talk about my body in a negative way. And I have to be okay. I'm empowered enough that by posting that, I take away their power. That's, to me, that is the epitome of my empowerment, because no one can tell me that I don't look good, that I don't feel good, and that I shouldn't be feeling good. And that's something that it takes time. It takes time and effort to dedicate, just to dedicate that time to yourself, right? I think that's a one-on-one experience, and also surrounding yourself with people that empower you to be your authentic self. I think for me, for the longest time, because I was so stuck on weight loss and losing weight and being this bodily figure that has to be this way, I not necessarily lost sight, but I would say that for me, it was difficult to see anyone on my social media pages that looks like me, because I wasn't following folks that looked like me. And it had nothing to do with me not finding people that looked like me, or that, that valued the same system as me, as a fat person and as a plus size person. But at the time, I was so stuck with, I need to lose weight. Let me follow all these people that are working out, that are skinny, that know what they're doing. Hello, let's come on. Let's touch some grass real quick. A lot of these skinny trainers have always been skinny. They don't know the struggle. They have just consumed creatine and pre-workout and done the work, but they've always been skinny. So, okay, Andy, I just needed to talk to myself real quick. But I think it's important and valuable to follow people that are liberated in their life and their experiences, and they value who they are. Because once we accept who we are and we love ourselves for who we are, there's so much room for so many other things. I think that there's so much that we have lived, and I talk about myself, right? It could be that everyone else has been going through it, but a lot of people, including myself, that have lived in our bodies and have experienced fat phobia, that have experienced diet culture and all that, there is a little tiny green person who is not envy, but necessarily just drags you down, because you start doubting your value. You honestly start doubting like who you are as a person. And I call that person just like the hate within, because your hatred towards yourself and your body runs rampant when you don't accept yourself and where you're at. So I think that this all intertwines and intersects with our self-love journey and with our healing journey, because for us to be able to grow into our best selves and into our best version of ourselves, we have to heal and love the parts that are ugly, because there are parts within ourselves that are ugly. And when we see that in other people, we have to understand that they might be going through the same things that we have been so desperately trying to heal. So I think the empowerment part of community, of friendship, of students even, because I think that for me, when I worked with all of my students in higher ed, I would see them as whole individuals. I wouldn't blanket statement like, oh, y'all are all RAs. I think about my one-on-ones that I would have independently with each student. And I would talk about, what are their points of struggle at this point? What are they struggling with, and how can I help them? How can we find resources for them to feel supported by me? And also, how can I find resources that can help you become a better, leader on your floor? I think for me as well, in those meetings, a level of empowerment that I felt was asking, how do you prefer to be managed? Because we all have different management styles. Some people are very A-type personalities where they need everything broken down, everything written out, everything with a timeline. And then there are people that are more free-spirited, like myself, that, they want that time to discuss things that are going on and then give me some bullet points that I need to work on, and I'll go work on it. And that's it. And again, that's where you meet people where they're at. There is a sense of growth and trust between mutual partners. And when you start empowering seed by seed, person by person, it becomes a ripple effect, right? You become a stronger unit. You become a stronger group. And I think that that's also where you see that when we are feeling empowered and where we feel our strongest is when we get to empower others, when we get to record content that empowers other people, that make them feel supported and loved, and all of the wonderful things that folks feel when empowerment works adequately. And empowerment can also make you feel strong for yourself to get out of tough situations, right? Looking back, if I did not feel empowered enough by coworkers and friends and family members to leave my situation, I don't know if I would have left. It took a village to uphold me and support me and guide me and help me through one of the most difficult times. And there's a sense of you having to let go to also have that form of empowerment, because it is letting go of a version of yourself that maybe can't serve you in this next part of your life. And I want you to think, right? I want you to take this time right now to think, because the ripple effects, it works. I promise it works. But I want you to think about practical ways, a little bit of what I've ranted about empowerment, but I want you to think about powerful ways and practical ways that we can empower each other. I think one that comes to mind is always mentorship. I would say a lot of people that go to college have mentorship experiences or have the opportunity. I wouldn't say that everyone has a mentorship experience, but we have mentorship opportunities. I had mentors from all walks of life who catapulted me into becoming a better person, a better worker, a better leader, and I wouldn't be here without their support. And so mentorship, whether it's assigned or not, you finding people that you're like, I gravitate towards you, and I want to help you in this role with whatever that means. Or professionally, if you want to move away from what you're doing, finding mentors outside of what we do for work, so that way we can get to a place that we are fully happy, is important. So if you are someone that is in a powerful position or in a position that can catapult others above, know that you're not losing for helping others out. You're not losing out because you helped someone gain a role. We're all winning. That's, again, where the misogyny, we have to get rid of that, because we constantly think that there should only be one of us, that there should only be one, that we can't coexist, that we can't work together. It's a lot. So start getting rid of that little bug in the brain of misogyny, because we all have it indoctrinated in us. We have grown in a misogynistic society. So it's okay that you haven't had the chance to take it out, but it's time to push past those limits. When we collaborate with other team members, it's a form of empowerment. Collaborating and knowing that maybe my idea is not the most important one. Let's listen to others. And also understanding your role, because for me, I'm an extrovert. As y'all can see, I'm doing a podcast and talking by myself. And I can talk and talk and talk. But it's no value if I do not give people who are maybe introverts or who may not speak up as much the time and space for them to share their knowledge, to share their stories. I need to give that time for them. And it's okay if you are an introvert. There's nothing wrong. It is literally a realm that we bounce back on. I have my introverted days. We also empower folks by sharing resources. Like I said earlier, sharing resources by finding what has worked for you, finding what has worked for somebody else, talking about. That's where I think about womanhood and girlhood, is that we create friendships and connections so immediately and easily that we can easily just be like, hey, I remember you mentioning that there was a job or a role for this position. Is it still open? So that way I can send it to my friend, send it to somebody else, right? It's important that we don't hold on to those resources. Why? Why are you just sheltering it in, putting it in the closet? That's mine, mine, mine. Let's leave the selfishness out of it. When we become selfless, we empower more. We empower others. We feel more empowered, okay? So we need to let go of the selfishness. That's practice. And the last one is amplifying voices. In tough times, people will start talking. And even before tough times, people have a voice and they need help to amplify their content, to amplify their voices. And this is the most cheapest way to help folks out. On social media, there's no pay for a share. You don't have to pay to share a video, to share comments, to share anything. You literally can do this for free. So if you see something that your friend might be posting, support is free. Support is free. Amplifying their voices is free, especially for those that are ongoing violence and they're talking about their community's ongoing violence. Share. Go ahead and start supporting. Find out ways that you can support. There are so many ways that empowerment can be intersected into those areas, and it's easy. It's easy, and we make it harder on ourselves. And when we break down barriers, we oftentimes have barriers within ourselves, within our experiences, that, like I mentioned before, those barriers can be jealousy, they can be competition, they can be internalized misogyny. How we break down those barriers is by creating safe environments to have these conversations. It's a time for us to come together and sit and be with our feelings, and you can do that by joining different groups in your area. You can do that by joining a collective online. I think it's a time for you to be open to listening, to not say your ideas, but to listen, because so many people have amazing ideas and things to share that you have to say, my idea is not important right now. I need to listen and be able to grow, heal, learn from this. What do I need to let go that is no longer serving me? And then once I do all of that and I practice true empowering practices, true empowerment within ourselves, within our community, then I can say, okay, I have understood the job, walking the walk, talking the talk. I've learned how to do it. Let me now take this time to start to do the actual work. Because sometimes we just need to experience it and then be able to put it into work. So that's something that I want you to like really, really understand. I want to end this in like my personal experience. I know I mentioned some personal experiences, but I think for me, when I felt like I needed an empowering group and I needed to see more work be done was when I was in Iowa. I worked as a bilingual news anchor for a small TV channel called, well, not TV channel, but a TV production called Hola America. And I also, while I was out there studying, I also realized that the Mexican American community was rampant. Like, it was a big community. And I'm so grateful that I got to experience, you know, everyone's Mexican heritage, their culture, because it is so different. I think that people think and lump Latinx or Latina people all together, and we're not the same. We have so much rich history within our own cultures. And I got to learn a lot. With that being said, I also saw a lot of misogyny. And not only that happens in the Mexican culture, but that happens everywhere. I just got to experience it firsthand because I was in a adult role in the sense of me becoming my own person. So I was able to start like focusing on the things that really impacted me and also made me feel like I had a voice to say something. And we live in patriarchal societies, and so to see still, I think I was very surprised to see still that like the people that were around me really didn't value certain women going to college or certain women going to get a higher education. They needed them to work. They needed them to do this. And again, that's all about their culture and like where people are at in different families. And it's not a blanket statement, okay? Mexican people, Latina people, Latinx people are not a monolith. I want y'all to understand that. And we all go through similar situations, because in Puerto Rico, it could be the exact same thing. And so I want you to know that I was working and saw how few girls wanted to go to college. And I wanted to do my part into creating something that I could leave a legacy. And truly, how Blooming Dandelion, how Hello Dandelion for me, how any of the things that I have done, my projects have started with this one project. And that project was called Mujer Empire. And it was a blog that I did with a couple of selected few students from my campus. And they wrote blog posts talking about, you know, what they're experiencing in college, how the experience has impacted them. And I wanted it to be from a place of everyone from different ages was doing it, because I didn't want it to be a monolith of me. I didn't want it to be that it's only my experiences. And that was the way that I got to empower different women to write their stories. And I think that's beautiful. Even if it's something so small as saying, would you like to write about your story? And creating a space for that, it made me feel 10 times better. And I wasn't even sharing my story. I was sharing others. And I got to share my story in blog posts and all that stuff, but being able to catapult others in their story sharing, that made me feel like $1,000,000 more than me sharing my story. So that's all to say that it doesn't take money or having 1,000,000 resources. That's great, but it can be as simple as saying, hey, I've noticed that we've gone through the same thing. Let's talk. Let's create a mentorship. Let's create a mentorship program. Let's brainstorm some ideas of how we can feel supported in our community, how we can feel supported within social media. I mean, I have found so many creators that thankfully I have never, not thankfully that I have never met, but thankfully because we have never met, we have created friendships online. And I'm so excited for the chance and the opportunity to get to meet folks offline and to meet them in person. But I've created a network that knows who I am, that catapults me and pushes me to become a better person as well. And that I would say same thing for them. They want to experience the same things that I do. So I want you to take away from this episode is to empower or to feel empowered does not mean that you have to have resources. It's great if you do, and you can also search what resources you have. It's also to take that ego of ourselves away and be able and humble to listen and to adequately hear people's stories and to support their story sharing, because story sharing is hard and difficult. It's also a form of empowering, is a form of resistance, number one, too, because we're pushing back on that misogyny and that patriarch. Okay, so let's push back. Let's push back. Let's work together, because people don't like it when we unite, when we are together, when we are talking, when we are learning, when we are growing. They hate it because they want us to stay the same. They want us to stay the same version of ourselves because they know that they can manipulate that version of ourselves. Oh, did I say too much truth? Sorry. So learn and know that you can learn, and it's going to change you for the better. It's going to change you for the better because you still have all the things that you got taught at home and all that stuff, but you will be a better person because you'll be able to empower people in the best ways. I want to work on this in the next couple of weeks. Write out certain things that make you feel empowered, whether that's seeing someone that looks like you on social media, whether that's blocking people that don't have the same, thoughts as you. And when I say same thoughts, I mean that they are actively working against you. I mean like the patriarch and like people not wanting you to succeed or your safety. If that person is not safe, you can block them. I blocked a lot of people. The block and me are friends. We are besties. And I want you to make sure that you keep your peace, because it's important to keep our peace. But empower someone that you feel like you can, whether that's a practice that you are starting to do on social media. You can leave a little comment and be like, yes, I love your content, share it on your story. It will help. It will help. It will help you feel like I don't necessarily have to be so centered around who I am as a person. I'm not the only person that exists. We can empower each other and we can get to the top together. It's a lonely world if we start doing it by ourselves. It is a lonely, lonely world. And we're not gonna do it by ourselves, okay? We're gonna do it together. All dandelions unite, okay? I love y'all so much. I hope that we empower each other because we are growing, we are healing, and we are evolving. Okay? So let's keep on blooming, Dandelion. Love you. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Blooming Dandelion. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Follow us on social media on Instagram at Blooming Dandelion Podcast for more inspiration. And remember to keep on blooming. See you next time, dandelions.